Creative process requires silence and breath as a way to connect more deeply with your authentic core self. This internal place is your place of peace. It is your creator source. This is a deeply compassionate and trusting place that knows your human and spiritual worth and value. Let us now breathe deeply in through your nostrils and then out through an open mouth, saying, ah, that's it. Relax into your soul body. Let your breath be your intention to calm your mind. Relax your nervous system and thereby change your energy. Let us now breathe in the energy of the earth and imagine clay washing over your entire body, clearing away all tension and stress. Let us again breathe in the energy of the waters and imagine the ocean washing over your entire body, purifying your energy. Let us now breathe in the energy of the air and imagine you are the lungs of the universe, replenishing your life force. Let us now breathe in the energy of the fire deep in the marrow of your bones and imagine feeding and nourishing your life blood. As you breathe in these four elemental energies, you awaken, enliven, and connect with your creator source. This is the seat of your passions and vitality. This is the heart of your being, the place of imagination, inspiration, and the unknown. It is always the movement into the unknown which creates the magic in our lives. Tonight, we are going to create a hologram together, which is a dynamic, multidimensional field and picture of wholeness. This means that each of you fundamentally matter. You have a contribution to make in this world. You are needed to help create the creative change we want to see in the heart and the soul of our world. When each of you image and voice your unique creative gifts, you creatively collaborate and contribute to the greater emergence of wholeness, of being, both human and spiritual, that is constellating in our world. Remember, you must give birth to your images. They are the future waiting to be born. Fear not the strangeness you feel. The future must enter you long before it happens. Just wait for the birth, for the hour of new clarity. That is Rainer Maria Rilke, a famed poet. Slowly We are going to now return to consciousness, and you will then sculpt and mold the clay ball in front of you into a clay work which represents a heartfelt emotion, a trusted feeling, or a respected value you believe needs to be seen, listened to, dialogued in conversation, and shared in community. Slowly come back now and open your eyes and move towards your clay and enjoy this process.
Inside, I put some kind of spiral, which means to the universe contains both the duality, facing us, each other, ourselves. And it's very interesting because when people start putting their objects, I can see the tree as a symbol of life and giving. And all of a sudden I can see this turtle arrive with eggs, seeds, which means more abundance. And I can see this coming to, and everything for me started becoming such a giving that goes to the infinite at some point. And very interesting that to me, when I see this heart, is one is closed and one is open. Again, it's the duality. One is receiving and another giving, and it's what all we are at some point, or what we would like to be as open is what we are, and also the triangles that I put around, to me, is some kind of the representation of what is surrounding us. All that mystery of the unknowing, all of the objects that we see around us. To me, is a representation of God itself. To me, God is almost like a mathematician who can do all these perfect objects without forgetting one part of each. People speak about the flower, and in order to have a flower, you have to count petals. In a woman, you were talking, and you need a certain amount of months to develop a baby. And as people are talking, it grew more and more and more my duality at some point. But at the same time is the harmony that becomes around us and give us that sense of the creation of ourselves is just that duality that we face in one individually, but at the same time on the other side.
I wasn't sure if it was going to be a woman or just androgynous. One of the breasts is flattened, so maybe it's a male comforting figure. There's the belly, which I'm expecting a grandchild, and that's where I think that came from, but then my life is abundant now too. And also dealing with a recent passing of a loved one. So there was this sending back to the earth theme with that, and I wanted the hair to hide the face. There was more of a looking down, and I didn't want any expression on the face because I couldn't come up with what there was too many emotions. There was the joy and the sadness, and it was all kind of wrapped up together. And then when I placed her there, I was really attracted to that tree, cactus, lotus flower, and I loved how that looks like it's the 1,000-petaled lotus right above her head. And then she's sort of unbalanced, so she kind of leaned. I thought, oh, okay, that's perfect. So yeah, it's just gonna lean there and be happy and be supported by whatever that figure is. And it looks content there to me. So.
Thank you for that share.
Well, it's a tree, and for me it's indicative of, I guess, like in my deep-rooted like morals, as like the values that you talked about. Nature is sort of where my values lie, and where I feel most connected to myself and everything, generally speaking. I feel the connection between everything when I'm in nature, so that's what that is for me.
I actually started it as a one-dimensional rose that was flat on the ground. It was going to be actually a daisy, and then the petals just started kind of, as I started to work with it, folding up and becoming 3D. But I've always loved flowers of any sort. My mom calls me Daisy Dreamer, that's my nickname, so it just kind of seemed appropriate to do flowers. I paint too, and I always paint eyes or flowers, which was funny when you said about the eyes too. I like them, and I just find them really fascinating. But I think symbolically, maybe just some change, growth in my life in the last, especially 5 to 10 years, and just becoming the woman I am, and not so much a girl anymore, and becoming independent and stuff. And when I started to look at it, I realized it's not so much that it's full, but it still has. It can still grow, and the stem was sort of an adding at the very end. I wasn't going to do a stem at all, but I thought it should be connected. And then when I saw the tree, I thought too it was appropriate to go at the top of the tree because flowers and trees go together. It just seemed appropriate. But yeah.
I actually didn't know, didn't actually have like an actual like object, like tangible object when I first made it, and I was like, it kind of looks like mushrooms, we'll go with that. And then I was like, thought it looked kind of like a scene under me. That's what I kind of thought. Yeah. But for me, it's supposed to represent like relationships in my life. It's supposed to represent like a bunch of different relationships. And so I guess kind of the two separate pieces are kind of like two, like me and somebody else. And it's kind of like a weird shape, and it's because like it's kind of like like unique relationships. That's why it's kind of a weird shape. And then it's kind of like everything kind of like held together at the top, and the back's like pretty much solid. Except there's kind of like, I don't know, you can't really see it unless you're like right in front of it. But there's like the back's kind of got like a little tiny hole, and you can see like, and just kind of say that like even though like relationships look like they're completely together, they're not perfect at the same time. So that's kind of like where the hole at the back. You can't really see, it's really thin, and then kind of the base is just kind of like holding it all together. I don't know, it's not really, it wasn't really supposed to be anything, and then it kind of turned into anything, but I don't think it's really supposed to be.
But it's interesting what you're saying in terms of relationships, that there's an external and there's an internal place in a relationship. Like, what do we see on the outside, but what exists in the inside? If it's unique, sometimes do we have to maybe go and look deeper? It's like, I see like a sliver. It's like taking a slice of life. Okay? It's like the good and the bad, as you said, because the relationship you seem to be speaking about maybe has that history. So it's interesting if we are to go on a journey in imagination into your space that is very, very inviting, eh? That opening, there's an opening to go deeper inside to that relationship. And I'm wondering if your creative clay work tonight is really inviting you to do that in a tangible way with this person. Does that resonate? Yeah. So that's beautiful. You see there again the resonance, the coherence of her deep desire. And that somehow the unconscious knows that and speaks to her. So her heart is touched, her soul is touched as she gets that message. And thank you for your tears. You know, that spirit just running fluid in the river. And spirit cleanses itself. We need to grieve all of our losses continually. It brings renewal, especially in our relationships, our love relationships, and our friendships. It's such a rich place for renewal. So I support that. Most all the work I do has a component of grief. Because it's at the heart of a rejuvenation.